Hello everyone, it is another day of Cedar today, and today I'm talking about gear and studio gear in particular. I've been thinking about other things that I want to do with my studio, so this is technically, I still think of it as my kind of new studio space, although I moved in to it in sort of end of last year, really, just before New Year. So I've been in here sort of almost 4 months now, and yet I still haven't done much more than what I had done when I first actually, fitted it all out and did what I'd done with it. So I did have some ideas of things that I was going to do, continuing on with the build and some different things that I was going to upgrade and things like that. But basically, I just haven't done anything more with it since then. So I wanted to just basically cover off the things that I'd intended to do with it and sort of plans for the future of it, I suppose, and run down a list of the sort of additional gear that I was thinking of getting to add into the setup that I've got at the moment. So I thought what I'd do is just sort of share with you what it looks like at the moment. In case you didn't see the studio build, obviously you only see what's behind. So, whoops-a-daisy, you can tell what's on my mind by that picture. Let me put up this picture instead. So this is sort of what I'm looking at right at the moment. This is my desk, obviously, and then I've got, that's a pretty big monitor. That is 43-inch Philips monitor, as opposed to a TV. So has got a really good sort of refresh rate and is really good as a 4K monitor. So then when I am sharing my screen, I've basically split it into sort of 6 different areas. I've got all my Ecamm stuff down there, and then I've basically got these sort of 4 zones here, the sort of top 3/3 if you like, and then this bottom corner one that I use as well for when I'm doing screen sharing. So if you see where that particular window is there, if I come in to share my screen, then that's basically how that's all cropped in. So it's actually quite good for doing demos, having this much screen space, and in fact the main reason for having such a large monitor is actually more to do with the stuff that I do sort of day to day. So working with lots of data and spreadsheets and things like that. It's actually quite good to be able to see everything across the full width of the screen. So believe it or not, I do have Excel sheets that fill up the whole screen. The whole bottom with multiple columns and things like that. And then I've still got space for other stuff around it. It's all to do with sort of data and trading and all that sort of stuff. And again, having charts and things like that. So that is the sort of one of the main reasons for the monitor being so large. I don't really like the ultra wide screen ones because I feel like I'm just looking side to side too much with those. I do prefer this sort of orientation of it. I can also just change with the button on my Stream Deck, change the resolution. So instead of being 4K, it is a 1920 by 1080. So sometimes when I'm making, doing like screen demos and things like that, where I want to show the whole screen, obviously 4K would be a bit too small, look too small if someone was watching on mobile or something like that. So being able to just change the resolution, but it still be the correct aspect ratio makes sense for some of the stuff that I'm trying to do. Hey Dale, I wondered if that was you. I've just noticed your comment pop up. Great to see you, Dale, as always. Yeah, just running through what I've got planned for the studio. And so one thing about this though is you'll notice my camera is on the top, and that is still my aging Canon EOS 60D. So a 10-year over 10-year-old camera actually sitting up there. That's my Lilliput A7 monitor down there, 7-inch field monitor, and my DesView T3 teleprompter. So I use that basically just to look, as you can see, just to watch the output. No actual teleprompting as such goes on my channel, in case you couldn't tell. But one of the things I do want to change is I want to get a larger teleprompter. So I'm toying with the idea of basically just upgrading the actual monitor itself, because if you look into the teleprompter, there is actually quite a bit of extra space around it that I could use in terms of if I had a larger monitor, it would fill the screen a little bit more. But what I do find is if I'm doing large Zoom meetings and things like that, which is what I use the teleprompter for primarily, then I'm obviously maintaining that eye contact. Generally what I do with Zoom is if there is a meeting with lots of people on it, then I'll have the gallery view just down here, more or less where my comment window is at the moment, and then I'll have the speaker view is the one that's in the top there. So basically I'm always looking at the speaker. But yeah, having a larger monitor, sometimes if I'm on a call with maybe just 2 people or 3 people, then as soon as you've got 3 or 4 people in that little space, they do become quite small. So I think having something slightly larger might work a bit better there. So I'm either going to try and switch this out for the Lilliput A11, which is technically it's the 11, but it's technically 10-inch, I think, or something like that. And so that might just sort of fill the space a little bit more. Either that, or I'm going to look at getting a larger teleprompter. So that's more a sort of work thing, really, just getting a better effect out of Zoom. And having a bigger teleprompter so that I can keep that eye contact on calls. Coming back to the camera though, that is still, as I say, my aging camera. I had intended, in fact, it was a goal on my Buy Me a Coffee. Speaking of which, I should just pop that up on the screen for anyone who's interested. If you're finding this interesting or useful, then buymeacoffee.com/take1tech. The best way to support the channel on a one-off or ongoing basis. Now, one of the things you can do on Buy Me a Coffee is you can set goals, and I did set a goal on there for a ZVE10, a ZVE10 for my English friends. Unfortunately, I kind of missed the boat on it, because by the time I'd reached the goal and got round to actually looking to get one, then there was the whole global supply chain issues, and the cameras are currently out of stock. I think what I'm going to do is just wait maybe a couple of months and see if they come back in stock or back into production, or I can see anything on the sort of horizon with them. And if not, I'll just bite the bullet and get something different, some other Sony, because there's plenty of other options out there. I'll probably get two, in fact, of the cameras, because I've got obviously my main camera. I do have, actually, just up above me, I've got an over-the-shoulder shot, which I never use, this one, hello, and you can probably tell because the quality of it is pretty atrocious. It's just actually a Logitech C920, is it? The kind of Logitech cameras that loads of people use. So that is what that is. And I don't really use that one too much. I don't have that much call to use the over-the-head shot too much. However, I do think having a second camera sort of off the main sort of instead of the main camera, rather, to sort of flip to, does add a little bit of interest. Certainly when I'm watching other people's videos with things like that, then it does add a little bit of interest to keep the sort of motion going and movement in the video to a certain extent, as long as it's not done to an extreme. I've also got this boom arm here, which has just got a really old iPhone 5C, and this is a little Ulanzi light that I've got on the top of it as well. I just made this little hood so that it doesn't shine on my nice little bald head. But that is what I use for my sort of top-down camera. So I think I probably will want to look at something a little bit better for that as well. I use that with camo, although it's probably, still pretty good for just the amount that I use it. So yeah, cameras is definitely something that is on the agenda. The monitor, as I say, wanting to upgrade the teleprompter, but I also want to look at getting a secondary monitor. And the reason is, well, there's a couple of reasons. First of all, having something to show full screen where it doesn't require me to change the resolution would be quite useful. But also I want to change the camera position, because I'm actually, the camera is pretty high up on this desk. With this being a 43-inch monitor, it's sort of really high off the desk to the top. So having the camera above it, I'm actually on a sort of adjustable height chair, and I'm really high compared to the desk, so I'm probably about 6 inches higher than I should be for sitting at this desk. But if I put the seat down to the right level for the desk, then you're either going to be looking down at me, or you'll just see the top of my head. So I want to look at maybe reorganizing the desk space so that the monitor is over to one side. When I'm working, I'll be sort of facing over there, but then have the camera more sort of lower down in the line of sight, and then have a secondary monitor off to the side, just so that you can see what this looks like here. Then I always planned to actually make a desk, and I never got around to doing that either. I did play around with the idea of using a standing desk. I've basically knocked that one on the head. I did sort of try it for a bit, but it just became a bit of a pain, sort of going up and down all the time, swapping between the two things of either standing or sitting. So yeah, I'm glad I didn't invest in a standing desk, but I will look at sort of making something a little bit bigger, so that basically I can still have the monitor over to one side, the camera, as I say, lower down, just still in the center from where I'm sitting at the moment, and then a second monitor off to the side that I can use for other sort of demos and things like that. I'll probably get there's a little portable monitor that you can get, so that I've got something for when I travel or go away that I can take with me as well, so it will be sort of dual purpose. This is what the space looks like for the rest of the space. So I want to upgrade these lights. These are just really low cost soft boxes that I got from, well, I forget the name of them now. They're not any particular brand or anything like that. And they were like, what was it? I want to say $50, $60, something like that for the two of them. They came with the stand as well, the fold out light stand. They aren't adjustable unless you want to change the light bulbs. So they've just got a little head in them that can hold 4 light bulbs. So if you want to make warm light, you just change and put warm light bulbs in them. They're really sort of lowest standard and lowest quality you can get. But they've served me for nearly a year now. So hey, I've just got to realise, got a few other people in here. Hey, Rich. Hey, Dina. And hey, Matt. He knows the secret. Lazada. Yeah, they're not even Lazada's brand. So Lazada is what we've got in Amazon. It's kind of like the Amazon e-commerce equivalent that we've got that covers Southeast Asia. I did get them from Lazada, yeah, but they were just a sort of generic non-brand Chinese manufacturer. I can't remember what they were called now. But yeah, so that is what I've got. I do want to upgrade those and change out these lights so that I've got a little bit more control over it rather than changing the bulb if I want to do anything different. And for those, what I was going to do is basically, you know, I'm just going to follow what Doc does, aren't I? Really, at the end of the day, let's face it. So let's come over here. The Nanlite Forza 60 is the ones that I was going to go for, which is basically, you know, I'm just doing what Doc said. So basically having 2 of those, one on either side. You can get these different soft boxes, so like a lantern style or this kind of style as well. So probably it will be one of each, one for the main light, key light, because at the moment I just basically, it's, as I say, I've got no control over it. It's just kind of like they're just on and flooding me with light. So I've not really done anything particularly intentional with the lighting, except that, you know, I'm just basically flooding my my face with light. Obviously in the back I've tried to start playing around with some things there, but I want to try and upgrade that a little bit as well. So looking to get maybe some of the Nanlite tubes. The Nanlite Pavo tubes is what I've got at the moment. So those are those 2 little ones that are sitting down there. And that's what's giving the colour to the back wall. But then, yeah, I mean, I'd always intended to put some sort of shelves or something on the back. I don't know if I'm going to bother doing that now. I actually quite like the sort of plain look to it. But yeah, using these for the lighting on there and then using the smaller ones for something elsewhere, because I do want to add in, as I say, another camera angle or a couple of camera angles. So using those smaller ones for some accent lighting somewhere else in the room. There's also these Lito lights as well from Nanlite. So I am going all with Nanlite, by the way, because just being able to control it all from the app, and because there is an iPad app or an iPhone app, an iOS app, and you can run those on macOS. So now I've got a little key on my Stream Deck which allows me to control my Nanlites using Keyboard Maestro to basically simulate mouse clicks on the actual app itself, running on the desktop. So there is no sort of Stream Deck link to actually control them as such, but using Keyboard Maestro I've managed to sort of fudge it a little bit, so I can just basically toggle my lights on and off with the touch of a button. So certainly having all Nanlites will be useful for that. As I start adding in a couple of extra camera angles, I should say, then I'll definitely be adding in some of these. So I've got some little shelves and things like that around the place. I have got some more furniture to put in here at some point that I've not got around to yet, but if I just come back to this view. So I've got my, it's a bit of a scary view of my bald head. Got my little shelves down there, and then I've got these just standing at the back. I want to do something a bit more sort of purposeful, not purposeful, that's the wrong word. A little bit better than that, rather than just standing on a tripod. I can't speak today. I don't know what's going on. I just can't speak. But yeah, getting something so those the longer lights will be sort of mounted somehow and maybe a little bit more discreet and not just standing on the floor. I need to get a big rug in here as well, actually. I mean, the audio is not too bad since I added in the acoustic panels, but it is, you know, a rug will always help on the floor. Over this side, a few more acoustic panels, a little set of shelves and stuff like that as well. So that is the sort of setup of the room. So yeah, getting those extra lights in is going to these main lights, I should say, is going to help with just doing something a little bit better in terms of lighting quality, as opposed to just you know, bathing me in light, basically. So that is in terms of the lighting and cameras. What else did I have on my list? I say it's a wish list. There's some stuff that has literally been sitting in a cart for ages, and I just never pressed the checkout. So on Lazada, you can add stuff to a wish list, and then you can add it into a cart, obviously, and then but you don't have to just sort of check out with everything. So I find that there's kind of like two stages with me, which is one is I'll just wish list stuff, and then other stuff that is higher up the wish list will be just sitting in the cart ready for me to check out with. So another thing that I want to do is I want to upgrade my audio, and you may have noticed that I did have the Rodecaster. Not that it sounds particularly bad. I've had this on my list since I started the channel, really. I've never really got around to actually pulling the trigger on it, and I always kind of felt like I'm not sure that I entirely need one because of the fact that I'm just kind of one person. I'm not making a podcast with lots of different people. Now with the loop deck as well, being able to control volume and things like that. But I do get asked a ton of questions about it, and like on consultation calls as well, I've had maybe 3 people asked me about it in the past couple of months on consultation calls. So I do consultation calls if you want any help with anything related to the sort of things that I carry out, I talk about on my channel, like either Ecamm Live, using Ecamm with Zoom, being more professional on Zoom meetings, using Ecamm and PowerPoint and things like that. I cover all of those sorts of things on my my consultation calls. Then also, Mac productivity, so automation, and people, come to me with a range of questions on those sorts of things. So that is at takeonetech.io/consultation. One of the things that I can't quite answer at the moment is technical questions related to the Rodecaster, but because so many people do use it as part of their Ecamm setups, then I think that I've got to just bite the bullet and listen to the little tech devil on my shoulder and add it into the gear list that I've got, so that I can help other people out with it. And also, as I'm creating courses as well, it's not really covered in there, so I do want to have like a complete setup. One of the courses that I'm going to be making is like a complete studio setup course, telling people how they can do various different things in a studio context. So having something like this would obviously be a vital part of that to come. Not going to be doing this course imminently, it's just sort of further on down the line, so I want to make sure I'm covered. But I do understand that there is potentially, it's not been announced, but there is potentially a Rodecaster 2 in the pipeline, or so the rumors say. So I'm just going to hold off on this one a little bit longer once again. And I may stick with the same mic, or I may go with another mic and try out something different there as well. Incidentally, although this is obviously a perfectly good mic and there's no need to just swap it for the sake of it, I do have now a person waiting for any hand-me-downs, which is my daughter, who's been pestering me to start her own channel for ages now. So I think I'm going to end up with a secondary setup that's going to get her up and running with all the stuff she needs as well. So the other thing that I'm looking to add is, believe it or not, is another Stream Deck. So my current Stream Deck setup is looking something like this. So there is my little Stream Deck on my desk with my loop deck as well. And on my little stand there, I really do like that stand. It works so well. Whoops daisy, there's my hand as well. That is just a little iPad stand that is holding the loop deck, and then I've just sat the Stream Deck on underneath it. I can certainly see I've got my Stream Deck pedals are on the way. I ordered them just less than a week ago, beginning of the week, and they are they've been packed, but they haven't been sent off yet, and that is because it's been Thai New Year, so everything's just basically stops for that. So I expect to get them, if not Monday, maybe by the end of next week, certainly. So yeah, the pedals are coming, and one of the things about the pedals, as with the Stream Deck, is you can actually control one Stream Deck from another in terms of the I should rephrase that. You can switch profiles on one device from another. So if you've got 2 Stream Decks, then you can basically press a button on one that's going to actually switch to different profiles on the other one. And I often find myself with like, for example, the way that I've got it set up at the moment with Ecamm Live. So these are all the buttons that I'm using for my current Ecamm setup. I've got some more up there, and so when I'm on a live stream, technically I do have occasion to use, like, not necessarily all of them in one video or all of them in one live stream, but I don't have to be moving buttons out of here and rejigging them all sort of specifically for a specific live stream. So having them, all the ones that I'm potentially going to need to hand, is something that I do quite like. But I then do have a space issue. And with the foot pedals as well, you can basically, although there's only 3 pedals, you can have different modes for those. So, or different profiles, I should say, so that basically you can just switch between what the button is going to be doing or what the pedal is going to be doing. So actually having, a sort of bank of maybe I can see maybe 5, wanting to have 15 different controls on there. So 5 different profiles, having a button to switch between those profiles would be useful. But obviously I don't want to fit an extra 5 buttons on here. And then when I'm just using it for day-to-day work as well, I often find that I want to have the profile open for one application, but then I'm doing stuff where I'm using other buttons as well. And so from just a pure sort of workflow point of view, there is a benefit to having a secondary one. So that would be another XL, but then use that to control the profile on this one, but then also control the foot pedals as well. So yeah, that is about where I'm up to with my wish list. I've got a few other things in terms of like obviously the accoutrements and stuff like that to actually mount all of these things as well. Going to be changing up the way my desk setup is, and then yeah, being able to move the monitor over and lower this down will require sort of a bit of a change around of the desk. I probably will either. I still got the plan to make a desk. I'm not sure. I'll have to see if I can just find something that suits, so that I don't have to take the time to do all of that. And it's a good question, Matt. How do I manage my wish list, and what makes it a priority? Sort of necessity, really, I suppose. That's why the Rodecaster has not been on there for so long. But stuff that I'm going to use that I can see will actually have a direct impact, like the Stream Deck, for example. That was I got that straight away when I was looking to do the channel. But then the Loop Deck, that was more of a sort of thing of testing it and all that sort of stuff as well. But since I've started using it, it has become quite valuable, and to be able to have the multiple different actions on it, it's using the two together I find works really well. But it's like the lighting. I haven't upgraded the lighting yet because technically, although I've been thinking about it for months, this is still actually is still lighting me, isn't it? So it's not really a critical thing. I think the next thing that I would do is try and sort out this monitor issue and sort of the seating position, because otherwise I'm constantly either sitting too high on the desk, or if I go down to, you see there, that is the proper level that I should be for this desk. And that's not really ideal for the videos. But then if I was to just point the camera down, then you get this, it just looks a bit weird. In the old place that I was, the old studio, which was just not too far away, in the basement of the house, but there, the camera angle was pointing quite down at me, and it didn't really look too off because I had a fake background, and because the green screen background all looked correct, people didn't really notice that it was quite a downward looking position. It probably made me look a little bit slimmer as well, because it was kind of looking down at me like that. It always makes me laugh, the people taking selfies and they're reaching up as high as they can to get the downward shot to hide the triple chins. So yeah, I do want to lower the camera down just so that I can be sort of properly seated. So sorting out the monitor and camera issues is going to be, monitor and sort of seating issues and camera position issues is going to be one of them. I've also had issues with getting hold of things like the CalDigit. I haven't included this, but the CalDigit TS3, TS4, whichever ones I can get my hands on. They have been available over here, but they've just been really, really expensive. Like, I mean, comparatively, not compared to, compared to what they are in the US, they're almost kind of double the price. And so I've not really bothered with them. I've been waiting for the price to come down, but it never has. But it's basically just because of the sort of, the global chip shortage, I suppose. They have been in short supply. They've not been available by CalDigit here as such. So it's just kind of like resellers and people like that who are basically just really hiking the prices, I think. So if I look on Lazada for those, they are, they're $600 or $700, something like that, as opposed to whatever they are in the US. I think they're considerably less than that. So I've not been able to bring myself to buy one of those. So I haven't got a a large hub or anything like that. It's just I'm basically just using non-powered hubs for some of them, and for like the stuff that I've got going in there. So I do have the issue with the Mac Mini. Oh, I should say one thing I've left off there is I'm using the base model Mac Mini from last year. So I think that the Mac Studio is also potentially on the cards as well. And I don't think I'll be going for the Mac display, just because my primary display is this one that I'm using, and so for the size of it, that I just can't beat that. And so the only the sort of secondary display that I'd have wouldn't be a Mac display. It would just be one of these portable ones that I can take when going away and stuff like that would have a secondary use. So yeah, what makes it a priority is basically necessity, and as I say, that's why I've kind of not gone with the Rodecaster for so long. The lighting all hasn't been upgraded and things like that as well. But I think I am just going to, now that I've been in this sort of studio space for, as I say, nearly 4 months, I think I'm just going to sort of have a plan of all of the final things that I want to do to it to get it to where I'd intended it to be when I first started doing the studio conversion. Because, yeah, kind of, I think the day 7 or whatever it was of my studio build videos, I talked about all the other things that I was going to do, and then promptly, yeah, just got busy with stuff and didn't get around to it. So I'll perhaps look at getting it all finished off in the next I want to say next couple of months, something like that. I will be going away for a month. So, yeah, maybe it'll be a little bit later, but just getting a sort of plan of action with it all. So that is all I wanted to cover really today. Just a quick little update on my gear list. So I hope some of you found that useful. But I will obviously, as I'm adding things in, I'll be giving some overviews of any products and things like that I get, and how I've found them all. So that is all for me. I didn't make any videos yesterday after my live stream, so I went to the swimming pool Saturday. Went to the pool with my my kids most of the day, or played in the pool, I should say. Didn't so yeah, that is all I've got for today. I'll be back tomorrow with another update, but now I've got some more catching up to do on my videos. So for anybody watching on the replay, I'll leave some other videos over there on the right hand side, and I'll catch you all tomorrow.